you so much for joining. It's a big pleasure to have you here. And I've researched a little bit about your music and your stuff, but I would love you to start by talking about you and your experience with conducted improvisation.
Yes. So the thing is that okay, I'm a musician and I play double bass. I'm teacher. I'm head of the jazz department, and I teach composition, double bass, and improvisation. And I started in around 2009, something like this. I started with this improvisation with orchestra, conducting improvisation with orchestra. And I had one of my students was Luca Perciballi, which is a great guitarist. He was in touch with Butch Morris, and I met Butch Morris the first time in Rocella Ionica here in Italy, because he made a conduction with a lot of a very big orchestra. I think maybe 60 people, something like this. No, a very big orchestra was in Rocella Ionica in the festival. And so this was the first time that I saw something like this, you know, and it was very interesting. And after a while, I mean, with these students of mine, we started to get involved in this, no, and try to do something inside the school, inside the conservatory. And so this thing started and keeps growing, you know, and then I had I'm managing this Parma Jazz Frontiere Festival since 1996, and so we decided to do a big improvisation in 2015 for the 20th anniversary of the festival, and so we did this in Teatro Regio, and was with 44 musician orchestra, no? And there is also a DVD of this concert. It's called Il Suono Improvviso. And so we did this, and so we keep going with this, and the name of this orchestra is Chironomic Orchestra. No, Chironomic Orchestra is and I call what I do actually improvised chironomy, because the thing is that you know that Butch Morris say that he has some copyright for the name of this, you know, and so for me it's important that you know, he can keep his paternity, you know, of this, no, and so have this. And so I also do this because I think that this art of chironomy is very ancient, no? We go back to Middle Age. Okay, we go back to Gregorian chant and to the beginning of Western music. Okay, and so this thing to me is very important, no? Because it seems that we go back and back, you know, in the history, you know, and we have really roots very far away in time. Okay. So this for me is very important, and so when I do this, with this orchestra, we also had we have almost 1 or 2 concerts a year, no, and we get together on occasion of these concerts, and we have this DVD out that I was spoken about, but also we have a CD, which is just just printed and is coming out. It's called Whirling Leaves, and this has been recorded in 2017 when Daniela Veronesi, that I saw is online now. Ciao Daniela.
Ciao Daniela.
Ciao Daniela. and she came to our festival. We invited her to present Butch Morris' book, okay, the one you have there in the back, okay, just there in the back, okay, great. And so we had this conference, and with Alessandro Rigoldi, which is a musicologist here, who lives here in Parma, and they did in the afternoon this presentation. And then we did, in the late afternoon, we did this concert in a beautiful Gothic church near Parma, very beautiful place. And we recorded it, and the music was, I think, very good. And so I decided to print the CD. So I had. Wow. So we did. This is just coming out, no? We are just waiting that this lockdown stop, just to start again, the things. And regarding what I do is I of course had and I took some gesture from Butch Morris' way. I have also something from Walter Thompson, and but then I also create some gesture by myself. Yeah, I mean, there are many differences, and I had a long talk with Ludovico Peroni, from Italy, which is doing some PhD on this topic, and many aspects are interesting because I mean, of course we are all different, and I like this, because we have to promote differences, and so it is different. Maybe also the responsibility who different musicians give to the role of a director, of a conductor. This is a big point, for me, because as what I say to Ludovico, is that if you are conducting something, this means that you get some responsibility, which is, in my opinion, very important. You have to take. So it is. If you are there in front of the orchestra, I think that you should have some sort of responsibility. Okay, and so you maybe. It is not all so democratic as it appears sometimes, or maybe it is. I mean, I think that if you are in front of the orchestra, you should. There is a role, There is some difference if you are there or if you are not there. Okay, so this to me is very important. Also for every conductor is like this, because I know that a lot of conductors say that it's just very democratic. Everyone is doing the thing, and but I don't think it really works like this, If you are in front of the orchestra,
It's an interesting point of view, and I would love if you could develop a little bit about this idea.
The idea is that maybe I have a kind of attitude of as a composer doing this. So the thing to me is that someone is very concentrated on gesture, for example. Okay, I mean, like Walter Thompson has thousand little gesture for everything, you know, and it's amazing to see him working, you know. Butch was not like this. He has some gesture, but no, it was not so on people, you know, was not so on people. Sometimes I think that if you have a lot of gesture, the trick is that you end to be very concentrated on you, much more than on what is happening in terms of result, you know, of musical result. So this is, sometimes it happens that you are doing very beautiful things, you know, and very tricky things, you know, and but sometimes the music is not maybe so happening, no. This is one of the danger sometimes, you know. So the thing is that, but I think that what I do is something that I want to recognize in the musical result, something that I can sign in a way, you know. So something that I can say, this music, it is. I was looking for this, you know. So I was looking for something. I was looking for this form. I manage and I conduct, you know, people in a path that I wanted to go, in a way, you know. So this maybe is not so democratic, you know. But this is something that I mean, when you conduct, I think that you have to conduct, you know. So, I mean, it's different because you know, it's very important. We have to, I think, we have to understand what means be in front of an orchestra.
What it means for you?
It means that if we have the same orchestra, and I go on the podium or I go in front of the orchestra, and when you go in front of the orchestra will act differently. The orchestra will have a different sound. So this means, you know, just of doing the same note, the same score, you know. If you conduct and I conduct, or another guy conduct, everything will be different. So this means that there is something very special in these things to be in front of an orchestra, you know. I mean, you can like a sculptor, you know, sculpting the sound in a way, you know. This is very important. The musicians are improvising. They are sending some sound, you know, some notes, some ideas, and you can get these ideas and do something that in the end is like you are painting a big canvas, you know. I mean, it's like you are not sometimes looking at the small picture, but you are looking to the big picture, you know. So you are creating a big picture. So this is the important thing for me in doing this. Okay, it's like I'm not writing the music, but I'm sharing this creation with other guys, of course, with all the orchestra. But in the end, you know, sometimes, you know, it's like you know, when I was studying classical conducting with Kirk Trevor, no, with English American conductor in Czech Republic and in New York. I was studying with him, and he said something important thing. He said, you should act and let the oboe player thinking that he's doing what he wants to do, but actually is doing what you want that he's doing, you know? I mean, the oboe player that you are conducting, no, should think that is doing, he can believe that is doing what he wants to do, you know, but actually you should suggest him what to do. You understand? Without is not imposition, but it's just going to a musical idea. Okay, so this is the thing. So I think that this difference between all musicians when they are in front of the orchestra is very important. I mean, because I mean, there are a lot of, I have to say, many conductors are in front of the orchestra, but they have many difficulties in conducting, you know. So they have many difficulties sometimes in being the pole, you know, the pole of in getting the role, you know, being in the role of conductor. You know what I mean? So it's not just that you are there and you do something and they play, you know. Yes, this is an idea, but in the end, you are doing these two tricks to them, and they are playing. But there are many different ways to do these two gestures, you know. And I think it's important to. I don't know if you. I mean, you can. I mean, if we do one gesture in a way, it is different. If we do this gesture in a slightly different way, you know.
Yes.
And, so.
Yes, and I just want to say something that well, something that interested me a lot about you is that you have a background on classical conducting. So, and this definitely opened your eyes for body language, for, you know, the details of on your gestures. And that's something that interests me a lot. I would love to hear what you have to say about, you know, about body language, about, you know, gesturing and movement and dancing, and how this image can you know, be interpreted by the musicians when we are talking about improvisation. I mean,
yes. The thing is, for example, that it's for me it's important that together with the orchestra, we are sharing a kind of density of the air. And this density can be very different. I mean, can be that we are in thin air, or can be that we are in water, or can be that we are in honey, you know? So so the thing is that when you move your body, you are in a kind of way feeling the density of the air. And these things is that if I do this, it's like I'm pushing something to someone. I'm not just, the gesture is not like something which is in a vacuum, but is inside the same density of air. So I'm pushing something. And there is a game that I do with the orchestra that I call shadowing. No, this means that, for example, I say to the musician, don't play, but just listen to someone other and feel the air which is moving to you, and play what is coming from someone other. Don't be passive in this thing. No, try to be passive and to get the it's like when the dancer, they do something like they push each other and they go back and they and then they come back again, you know. So this is, for me, is very physical. There is a kind of very physical exchange of energy between the musician also. And so when someone is playing, I call this shadowing, because he's not playing, but he's just playing kind of in the shadow of someone, you know. So is the result of this. And this thing is very important for me musically, because when you listen to the improvisers, I like when you can listen, when you can feel that they are reacting one to the other. You can react going together, you can react be against someone, you know, you can, but I want to understand that the trumpet player was listening to the drummer or to the piano player or to violin player, you know, and I can recognize that there are chains of sounds inside the orchestra which are going, okay? But this is just my idea, because someone say that he doesn't want absolutely this, you know. So for some, you know, sometimes I think there is a lot of ideological thinking regarding this thing of the improvisation. Now, someone say, "Oh, I'm improvising, so I'm totally free. I don't want to be conducted. Absolutely, this is fascist. This is dictatorship. You know, I don't want this. This many musicians think this. You know, but so maybe it is true. No, maybe it is true. But the thing is that you know, I like that there is some kind of form which comes out, you know. I mean, you can say all the time, also when you are totally in the free, totally, you know, everyone, there is always this form which is coming out, okay? But maybe, yeah, maybe this is because I feel like a composer in this way. So there are some music, but I think it's more passing through me, you know, and not other. So when I do this, and when the conduction is fine for me, means that a piece of music that I could have in a way. Could be written in a way, you know, but it was not, okay? So this is the thing, no, okay? And the thing is that, of course, there are some coming back to the physical aspect, you know, the physical aspect is very important, and is very important just for me in this way that we are moving something, okay? We are not just in the vacuum, but we are inside the same room, and there is something which should vibrate, you know. So your body should first of all vibrate, okay? And another thing I think is important is that the more steady we are, no? The more steady we are, the more we are kind of attraction pole for the things which are happening, you know. If we move too much, for example, around, no, and we go here and we go there, no, this is very disturbing in a way. It's very disturbing the way, you know. And the less we do, also, the less we do, the more we get sometimes, you know. Yeah, the less we do, yeah.
And it is interesting. Let me just say one thing before. Maybe you can put your phone a bit far away so people can see you better.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, cool. So
do I have to go like this? Maybe it's better.
Yeah, that's
okay.
good.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
But put a little far away. Perfect. Cool. So we were talking about body language, and it's interesting because you mentioned a lot of things that I'll try to build up something here. So you mentioned that you call your practice improvised chironomy or
yes.
chironomy.
Yes.
Chironomy. So, and some other people call it conduction, sound painting. Some people call live composing. Some people call conducted improvisation. And well, I mean, all those words, they mean that there is a conductor and there is an orchestra that improvise. So, okay. And of course, we have different points of views. And it's very interesting, your point of view about body language, because I know that some conductors, like, you know, Santiago Vasquez, for example, he do his conductions, he is conducting by dancing, and he's all the time doing like this because it's it is rhythm oriented. So musicians can, you know, feel the rhythm with his body language. And when you are saying about stillness, I wonder if it is related to the kind of music you like to do, which is more orchestral, like a traditional oriented. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't say that I don't move. You know? I don't say that I don't dance. You know, I mean, no, there is
of course,
just something that. Yeah, but sometimes I was not speaking about dancing, you know, but I was speaking more about going here and there, you know. I saw many times people who go here and there, but sometimes sometimes we need this, okay? But I was just, and this is not a kind of a role, you know, but it's something that happens, you know. So that sometimes. So this is, but of course, it is just when you can pulse the music, of course, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great that many different people has different approaches for that.
Yes.
And I think this is something that adds and sums up at the end, because we have different experiences.
Yeah.
And about your experiences, I also know that you are a teacher. And I would like to ask from you, how do you think that conducted improvisation can benefit teaching, can benefit, you know, the teaching of music?
Yeah, I think that improvisation and generally improvisation is very important. No, it's very, very important. And also having an experience as a conductor, for example, of improvised music for the students, I think it is very good. It's very good. It's very good because they can feel in a way you feel a big responsibility, you know, because I mean you are moving the music, you are stopping the music, you are fading the music, you are, you know, and so you are it's a way to be in the music, very, very beautiful for me, because it's like you are with all your body inside the music, you know, and the more and more you are not you are not looking the world through your instrument, but you are looking the world through your ears, just your ears and your hands and your body, you know, because you are just in front of the sound, you know, but the sound doesn't come from you in a way, okay, but you reflect with sounds, you know, and you sculpt this sound in a way, okay, you change with nuances this sound. So this is like painting, no? It's like sculpting, you know. And so for a student or for every musician, I think is very important, no? Because it also ideas come out, you know. And also you have to discover new ideas sometimes, you know, because yeah. So the thing is. One important thing is, yeah, at a point it is difficult to discover new ideas, you know, new ideas, to find new. This is, I mean, because it's like the risk is to be frozen in some patterns that you use, no, in a way that you put on stage, no, that you put on, yeah, you use something, no, I don't know, but this should be different. For example, many times in the last conduction, I also in the rehearsal, I try to let the orchestra alone, no, and just have very little things, you know, maybe 3 notes or something, no, some memories, no, something, no, but and then when I listen something that I love, I jump up and maybe I start to do something, you know, and then I go back again, you know. So sometimes this is a good way also, no? Because because you let things happening and then you just move a little bit, you know, what no, you just like when you let il volante, no, you let you let the car going and then you do just a little bit, no, and this is also beautiful many times. And one other thing is that sometimes it is there are differences. For example, which musicians you are in the orchestra. But I'm only talking. You are not talking at all. So
no, it's
not a talk.
It's great.
I'm the only one who's talking. So
it's great. It's you have great ideas, and I definitely want to hear them. Please keep talking. And well, it's still since you are talking about creative process. Yeah. I really want to learn more about your creative process, because you said that you have a background in traditional conducting and also in composition. So I would like if you can maybe give me some composition tip, or talk about the process, or talk about how do you construct your ideas
yes.
when you are improvising.
Yeah. Yes. Remember, yeah, I want to just before say something that is very different when you have, for example, in the orchestra, very good musicians or not so good musicians sometimes, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, because sometimes you can do also. It is very different sometimes to have good musicians going with you, you know. It's very different. And if you have many good musicians inside the orchestra, sometimes everyone is going in a way, you know. So this is something interesting. Not all. I mean, it's like sometimes you know. Many jazz musicians, for many jazz musicians, playing in an orchestra is not so happening, you know. For example, classical musicians are much more used to play in an orchestra, for example. So it's very different psychologies, you know. The creative process. I'm working a lot, for example. For me, silence is very important. So silence inside the music for me is an important tool, no? And I like yes. So I like to play with this, no? To have some music, some silence. No, this thing, the relation between sound and silence for me is very important. And then it's important to try to get different orchestral orchestral timbres, you know, to mix the timbres of the sounds, okay? And sometimes I work with maybe only 2-3 notes, you know, and just changing the color. I mean, it's nothing new. Okay, it's not. I didn't invent nothing, you know. But just using, try to do this conduction like if I was composing. So trying to work, for example, with density or very sparse sound, okay, and then dynamics, and then different approaches of is like is improvisation not, we say, non-idiomatic, no? It's not idiomatic improvisation. So we are not playing in the style of jazz or in the style of classical or the style of flamenco, in the style of Indian music, but we have many traditions, I like to say, you know. We have many traditions, and we go through sometimes many languages, you know. We are free to use different languages, different and so we are coming, I think we are coming from different traditions. This is very important.
If I can add something here.
Yes.
Because you mentioned non-idiomatic music, and that's something that interests me a lot, because I truly believe, and this is my opinion, that, you know, when you try to do a non-idiomatic performance or music, you actually create a new language, you create a new idiom. So
yes,
a non-idiomatic music is one idiom. So I prefer much more the poly-idiomatic music, which comprehends, are you here? Which comprehends all kinds of idioms.
I lose some words because a telephone call comes. So,
sorry.
You were saying you were saying that also if you say that is non-idiomatic, it comes out that in the end you put on the table another idiom. Yes,
right,
that's true.
Right, and then I prefer to call it to call the music I like to do personally of poly-idiomatic. So you have many idioms. You can use the non-idiomatic, but also you can use jazz, you can use classical music, folk music, etc.
Yes. This is a great idea. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
It's true.
Thank you.
It's true. Yes. It's just poly-idiomatic. That's true. Absolutely.
Cool.
And
please go on.
And so this is the thing. Just to try to have also different situation, no, inside the and sometimes another thing is that sometimes I like to go very inside to focus on something, you know. I mean, we are doing some chords, so no, just keep going with this, you know, keep going and going and see how these chords can change, you know, how big these chords can become if they are played and played and played again, for example, you know. So there are many things that is wonderful to challenge, you know. It's wonderful to try, you know. It's wonderful to you know, and then for me it's also that of course, the most important thing is that you are very together with the orchestra, as you know. No, everybody should really stay, on focus. And this thing is beautiful for me, because it's like that also the public, the people who come to the concert can feel this kind of, family sound, can feel this kind of connection, of this deep connection with all the musicians, which are really on focus on something, and this is great, because this produce a lot of energy, put everyone in the condition of being aware that when he does something. I always use these things, that we start with a very big white canvas, like a blank canvas, and we are starting with something on this, we have just a brush. We decide if this brush is big or is very thin, which color we are using, But it's very important for me that every musician is aware of this. Is aware that when he's coming in, is just using this white canvas, And this canvas is the result of all the movement, of all the painting, of all the sounds, of all the line, of all the round that we painted in, okay? So this is very important. And another thing, and this thing is also that people is testimonying something which is happening in real time. This for me is the most beautiful thing, because it's like a mandala, You are doing something that will never be again, And this is something very, very important, because it's something regarding the impermanence, of things, So and how things are fragile, So and this is life, This is just the feeling of life, Because every moment is different, and actually we are improvising all the time in our life, and not always as good as we should,
Well, since you mentioned that, and you are talking about fragility, I would love to hear from you if you ever felt frustrated on stage, or if you faced any difficulties, or if you think that something can go wrong on stage, because I know that some conductors think that no mistake can happen in stage, and I wish to know what is your opinion on that.
Sometimes I feel I can feel maybe not in. I mean, can happen something, for example, that I don't like. Maybe can happen something in music that I don't like, but I have to manage with this. Okay, but this is something which comes from outside. There are other things which sometimes fortunately, sometimes unfortunately, comes from inside us, okay? So the thing is that these are, like these black shadows, that you have sometimes, and so you have this, you are in a kind of, for example, the thing is that, it's like waves sometimes, when you are stage and you are improvising, So there are some very flat moment, and then there is something which is coming, and this wave can be up and up and up, or going down suddenly, So the thing is that the more the longer we can stay in focus and don't think. This is the best when we do this, you know. When things are going and you feel that you are in connection with the orchestra, no? Maybe it's not in 1 hour, maybe this is 1 minute, you know. It's not always, okay, because it's very special. But when you feel that where you're not, when we are totally absorbed in what we are doing, and we feel that our body is moving with the music, no? And there is this connection, and this is the most beautiful moment. But then comes something that maybe when you ask, oh, what I'm doing now, you know? And this is the worst, because the thing is that you are starting to analyze something, you know? And so this is the worst, okay? The best is when you have, when the things comes out, you know? When you let the things comes out from you and from the other. This I think is the best moment. But and not when it's like when we improvise with the instrument, you know. In the moment that we say, oh, what can I do now? You are totally out of the game, you know. It's like when, you know, when kids are playing with, you know, one pencil, and they are there, and they look at the pencil like this, you know, and they look, and they do nothing, but they are just inside this game of looking at the pencil, you know. They're just playing with the pencil, and then you go to them and you say, hey, and the kid do like this, you know, because it comes out from his beautiful moment of you know, of being together with something, you know. So this is the best thing, trying to be inside the moment, no?
Yeah,
without,
sure.
Yeah, this.
I love the analogy you did, yeah, with the pencil. Very nice. And well, I wonder if when you find yourself stuck in those places that you know, when you find yourself with problems and you are on stage improvising, do you have any strategy to get out of it?
Maybe I stop I stop the music, and maybe we start again some other, or maybe I cue someone who can you know, or I have some sign to, you know, to go away, for example, no, from this, you know, or sometimes, you know, it's like one of the difficult things, one of the balance that is difficult to keep is to let the things going, you know. So maybe things are not so bad, you know, but maybe things are not what we were supposed to, what you were, what you would like. It's like life, you know. Life is not always what we want, okay? But maybe the day after we say it was not so bad what happened yesterday, no? Maybe I was not in, but no, now I can think. So sometimes, for example, something happened and you say, oh, and then you listen to the recording after 1 week and you say, oh, what was this, you know? So yeah, and this is something regarding the thing to let the balance between keeping the you know, drive and let the car go, you know. So this is a kind of a balance which is very important, no, to keep the energy from both the orchestra and you and the orchestra. This,
yeah, sure.
I think.
Nice, thanks for sharing. Yeah. I just want to say, if anyone has any questions, please drop in the comments. That we have just more 5 minutes going on live.
I don't know
does anyone has any questions? And also, if no one has any questions, I would like to ask you if you could share one story that, you know, you keep in your heart about your experience with conducted improvisation.
I think that this concert in Teatro Regio was really beautiful, was really amazing. Also because we had this is an opera theater, no? It's a very famous opera theater in town, and is famous in all over Europe. No? It's the Teatro Regio in Parma. It's very famous, and it's a 19th century theater, and it was the first time that there was something like this on this stage, you know. So and the people in the audience, there were a lot of old guys, you know, like old people, no, came because they were this concert was in a place that they are used to go in because of the opera, no, and all the tradition of the classical music. And so it was very interesting because someone in the end stopped me, you know, and say, "Oh, it was so beautiful." And it was a guy who never heard probably a jazz record, or only maybe some, I don't know, very very easy, you know, very easy things, you know. And but people are like captured, you know, by this way of creating the music in real time. Yes, this is, I think, you know, they can see that there is a gesture and someone is answering, there is a sound and a gesture is answering, no? And this connection, I think, is very beautiful, and for the people is a very special experience. Also for people who is not in contemporary music, in folk music, you know, people who is totally. But one important thing is this: is that yeah, you can. Sometimes we do very difficult things, you know, very difficult. I mean, no, maybe very dissonant things and very complex, and the music become very, very difficult, very, no. But because there is this connection between the gesture and between the people and everything. I mean, also the most difficult moment, you know, in terms of sounds, can reach the audience, you know, and this is beautiful. I think this happens much more than sometimes when you have written music. Sometimes, you know, yeah. Sometimes because there is a kind of freshness in what is happening, but is absolutely unreachable in other way. Is a very special, I think, is a very special thing, you know. It's not better or worse or not, but it's it's different and very special experience of doing music.
Great. So just for finishing here, we have a question from our friend Daniela here, and she said, "I like the idea you mentioned earlier that the conduction doesn't need to move around the stage. The conductor doesn't need to move around the stage, but it's better if she or he is steady. This makes me think of how big or small gestures need to be. Can you elaborate on that?" And well, you have 3 minutes to say, because the live will finish automatically.
Yeah. What is the last part of your sentence? What was?
The last part is
Daniela say that it's better not to move.
You mentioned that, and yes. This makes her think about how big or small gestures need to be.
Yes. So this thing is that sometimes I think I also spoke for me. We have too big gestures. I mean, the small gesture is can be much more strong than a big gesture, you know. And also the small gesture sometimes is more difficult to see for the guys of the orchestra, but this means that they should be much more, they should pay much more attention to the things. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, so if you do very small things, you know, and people should really be in these like little things, you know. So the music is not here, no, but the music is just here, you know. Is here in our hand. One important thing to me is that when we are like this, you know, like when you sculpt the things, you stay here, you know. You don't do this, you stay here. So the same is like this. You move your hands around something, but it's like you have a balloon here. You have a balloon, you know, you keep something here. And so this makes everyone in focus in this point, you know. This is very important because all the attention is here. You know what I mean? This is so, and so, yeah, because of course all the body is involved, but sometimes all the body should be in your hands, you know. Should be
nice.
all the music should be in your hands, you know. This is the most important thing. As a conductor of whatever music you want, and also in this case, you know, this is very important.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing those ideas. It was great to talk with you. Unfortunately, the live will end automatically in 30 seconds. I just need to thank you.
Yeah, I hope we can meet some time, you know. Okay.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay.
I'm looking forward for that. Thank you so much, and take care. Stay safe. Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you. Ciao.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
Daniela.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Ciao for everyone.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao a tutti.